All right. This is like take number 14 or something. All right. Sticky notes lessons are meant to break down the expository text to its part. It's like you're finding the puzzle pieces that the author used to put the piece together. So this isn't the best way. This is the second best way of using sticky notes, but it's the easiest way to teach. I mean, it's the easiest one to teach with sticky notes. The best way involves you learning how to read for comprehension. We'll teach that in a bit. So, travels in Asia and Africa. This is lesson 17 in 244. You chose one of the most dense pages. And what I like about it is when you cover it with sticky notes, it really breaks this page into a puzzle. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch it, post sticky note by its toe. If it hollers, let it go. My mother said to pick the very best one, and you are not it. Now, this is the one that we started, which is kind of cool. It didn't start that way. Okay, we're going to start with this one. I know we started with that one in class, but for anybody who hasn't ever seen this, here's where we're going to start. All right. Sacrifice. Definitely want to write down sacrifice. If you don't know what sacrifice is, I'm sacrificing a little bit of my personal time right now to do this for you. Fast breaking. Holy moly. What do you think fast breaking might be? On these days, it's cut off. What if this was a snatch of a letter from somebody that you really cared about? You would put this time into it. The fact that it's in a history book makes it hard, but you want to invest that time. So I don't know. On these days, something happened. And then there's this mid-afternoon prayer. Mid-afternoon. What do you think that'd be like? 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Travels in Asia. I forgot to tell us. Travels, right? Travels in Asia and Africa. What was it? Page 244? Page 244. If it helps, it's lesson 17. Sometimes I put the date. Okay, so what is it? I don't know what time it is. 8 o'clock on the 11th of September. Yay. Okay, the armor bearers. What is an armor bearer? Do you know what armor is? If you know what armor is, you can imagine bearing it, right? Shields and chainmail, that kind of stuff. Okay, swords ornamented with gold and with golden something. Okay, ornamented gold with gold, not golden swords, with golden swords ornamented with gold. Golden swords wouldn't really be, they'd look nice, but they wouldn't be very friendly in war. And something else with golden something. At his head stand 4 emirs driving off the, okay, 4 emirs. I think I know what an emir is, but that's a weird spelling. Driving off something saddle stirrups. Okay, if you don't know what a stirrup is, you definitely write it down. If you don't know what a saddle is, I guess you want to write that one down too, right? The commanders, QADI, the commanders Cadet and something. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a really difficult one. Okay, so we got to find out what the commanders are. That's a comma. We got to find out what that is. QADI. And then it goes to the other post-it. Sticky note. Sorry, post-it. There's this word, Duga. That might be a city. Let's get those apostrophes in there. Duga. Duga comes with his 4 wives and his slave something. Oh my gosh. Duga with 4 wives and slave something. He sounds like a nice guy. Slave something, and they're wearing beautiful robes, and on their heads is something with balls attached. Well, that sounds fun. Robes with balls attached. A chair is placed for Duga. That's all cool. All right. I think that's all I'm going to get off that one. So I'm going to put that one back. Let's just go difficult. Let's jump down here. Hopscotch. Ooh, good. We lucked out. We got a paragraph. Okay, so page 244. Oops, this page 244. Lesson 17. Travels. And for those of you who aren't familiar with, this is a primary source, right? The way that they've put this, I just know on the way that, so primary source, that's one of the reasons it's so hard to read. It's a translation from somebody. And those of you that are courageous enough to know more than one language, you already know transliteration, right? It changes in the translation. So there's a dog. Okay, so on feast days, after Dugas has finished his display, feast days, after display, a figure resembling a thrush. Do you know what a thrush is? It's a bird. But we can look up any of these birds, not any of these birds. We can look up any of these words and find out what they mean and what they. Okay. Now it's 8 o'clock. Okay, a figure resembling a thrush, so like a costumed figure maybe, made of feathers, something, and something to look like a thrush's head. They stand in front of something, they read their poems. I was told that their poetry is a kind of something. And now we're in quotes, right? This Pempe which you occupy was that whereon sat. Oh man, I want this whole page. Oh my gosh. But if I only had this piece of it, right? If I only had this piece. So I know I got this quote. The Pempe which you occupy was that whereon sat, and where this one's noble actions, and such, the memory will outlive you. Well, memories outlive all of us. There's an end of quote here. We want to get that quote. After that, the chief of the something maybe lays his head on the Sultan's lap, then climbs to the Sultan's right shoulder and then on his left, speaking, and comes down again. I was told this practice is an introduction to Islam, and they have kept it up. Okay. Excuse me. Intro to Islam. Now, if you don't know Islam, that's probably the biggest word we've come across yet. That's an organized religion, the last major organized religion created around a single God. So we want to know what's going on here. There's the Sultan's lap. Who's in the Sultan's lap? What is a Sultan? Because then what does it do? The chief of the something. The chief of the something. I'm putting a question mark. I really want to know that one. Then climbs to the Sultan's right shoulder. And then to his left. Then to left. Speaking. I don't know what's going on here. This practice is an introduction. And who is this is talking? Who is I? Oh my gosh. It's a mystery. All right. It'd be tempting to go there. I want to go there because we started there. That would give us a sense of the whole thing, right? But all I remember writing is crystal silver lances and girls 100 plus. So this is a big ceremonial something, right? So let's pick this one. Hey, come up there. Don't rip my book. I'll have to pay for it. The librarian will be unhappy with me. Okay, let me see. What did we have last year? A chair, right? He was sitting in a chair last time. I didn't write that, but he was sitting in a chair last time. Okay, there's some small, what is this? Calabashes? Oh, my God. Oops. Page 244, lesson 17, travels in Asia and Africa. Okay, calabashes, and it's lower end. Something about battles and deeds. Deeds. Sloppy notes. That's always a drag to study. Valor. The women and girls are doing something. Remember, there's about 100 of them. And then there are about 30 youths. About 30 youths wearing red. Drum slung from his shoulder and beats it. Okay, there's a drum. Beats it. Wheels in the air like natives of sin. I don't know what that means. Natives of Sind, a town. They something exercises and play most cleverly with swords. Okay, can you picture sword play, right? People throwing swords and catching swords and a big display, ceremonial. Whereupon the Sultan orders a gift to be presented. Ooh, a gift. The Sultan's gift to be presented. There's something. I want to tell you, is that 100? This is cheating, right? Is it really cheating if it's helping you learn? 200. Okay, so there's 200 mythicals. What do you think that is? A mythical. That's probably the word I'm going to look up first. A mythgal. Mythicals of gold dust. Definitely going to look that one up. Gold dust. It is informed of the something. The commanders rise and twang their bows. That's funny. Okay, do you know what a bow is? Bow and arrow, and twanging their bows, I assume, is just playing it like an instrument. You know, twang, 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 twang. Can you picture the ceremony? Twang their bows. There's thanks. The duga. The duga is a gift. Every man according to his rank. Who? Man according to rank. Rank is like captain, lieutenant, sergeant, non-commissioned officers. Twanging their bows, thinking there according to his rank. There's a similar ceremony to this that we have described. Okay, so they're ceremonies, and we know from another post, from another stick it, whatever, that this is a Islam. It's a Muslim ceremony, and probably when they're being introduced to Islam, maybe these 100 girls, youths are all joining the religion. You know, like Christians have baptism ceremonies. All right, we're gonna jump to the end, find out what's going on. Well, we're finding out what's going on the whole time, right? If we only had this square of a piece. Oh, okay, this name, Ibn Battuta. We know so much of the Middle Ages history because of this man, Battuta. I mean, if you could read everything he's written, you'd know so much more than college students about this area. Because he traveled and wrote extensively. Look at this. From 1325 to 1354, he was doing this writing. Right? 30 years. I spent 30 years teaching. He spent 30 years traveling through Asia and Africa and writing about it. So if you ever get a chance to read anything he's written, you want to read it, right? Like we're reading it now. But you could see he writes with a ceremony. I mean, not writes with a ceremony. He writes with a industrial use of words. Yes? Okay, so we're down here. Remember the thrush, the guy that looked like a thrush? Provided with a wooden head and a red beak. But if we only knew this, right, we wouldn't even know it was a thrush. We'd be trying to figure that out. A wooden head with a red beak. The Sultan in this ridiculous makeup. Ridiculous. All right. I don't know if he's making fun or, ceremonial. When you watch the Grammys and the Oscars, some of it is really ridiculous, right? Sultan is in ridiculous. Ridiculous. Boy, that's not a word I use very often. Makeup. And recite. There's stuff that is said. Sermonizing. Sermonizing, good grief, that's a word I don't use at all. In which they say to the Sultan something, something. Oh, the Pempe, remember the quote that started over there? But we wouldn't know that if we were right here, right? But we do know that. So the Pempe, right? Is it cheating to look back? The Pempe, which you occupy, was that whereon, the Pempe is a seat or a chair or an ottoman or something, right? The Pempe on which you sat, whereon sat this king and that king. So it's the king's chair. Maybe the visiting king's chair. This king and that king and such and such. Okay, so I'm so tempted to play the whole thing, but let's do it real, right? The best way is to read this, cover it, and write what you remember, right? Read it for comfort. I'm looking at the camera like you can see me, right? King and king, such and such. So do you too do good deeds whose something, good deeds. Whose, and the poet mounts the steps of the Pempe. Steps of the Pempe, oh my gosh. So like a throne on a raised dais or something, right? Mounts the steps of the Pempe, something at the top of the Pempe. He lays his head first. Oh, this is the guy dressed like a thrush, right? So he comes up and lays his head first on it. What was it? First on his right shoulder and then on his left. All the while in their tongue. What's in their tongue? Oh, speaking all the while in their tongue, speaking in their language, right? In their tongue. Their tongue. Tongue is with a G, right? Tongue. Okay. And finally, finally speaking, this introduction is a very old custom among them prior to the introduction. Oh, I was told this practice is a very old custom amongst them prior. Nice. Old custom. Prior to their introduction to Islam. Prior to intro to Islam. So we don't know who we're talking about really. But it's a culture, a civilization, a community, a family, clan that is converted to Islam, and Ibn Battuta has come to visit. All right. Almost done. Woo, what has it been? It's only been like, there's your 20 minutes. You need to stop. You should stop. Now, when I say 20 to 30 minutes, right, for this kind of depth makes sense to me, and you wouldn't take all this time explaining it to your neighbor. So we're going to finish up here and pretend like it hasn't been 20 minutes. Okay, so let's do this. Stop here. He plays an instrument made of reeds. I used to play an instrument, not made of reeds, but it was a reed instrument. You all know what Thule reeds are, so that helps you already. Okay, there's an instrument. Well, some of you know Thule reeds. An instrument made of reeds. He chants a poem. Chants a poem. Recalling his something. People sing with him and they play with the bows. Remember the twanging of the bows? There's a accompaniment. I'm not sure about the spelling of that word, but I know what I'm saying. Oh, look, accompany. Woolen tunics. All right, so we know that they have access to wool. You got to find out what a tunic is. You also got to find out what a white skull cap is. There's a bunch to learn here, right? Each of them something. Afterward come his boy pupils. So we might be in a school. How exciting. Who play in turn. They show marvelous nimbleness and agility. Those are great words to know. So I'm going to write them down. Nimbleness and agility. Oops. In these. Okay, so the duga also makes a fine play with the sword, right? Remember the sword play, dancing around? I mean, the sword dancing around. The duga is given a purse containing 200. Whoa, remember the gold dust? There's a purse. So a mythgul might, I don't know, containing 200 mythguls of gold dust. I don't know what a purse with 200 mythguls. He shows the purse to all the people. The coming of the Sultan's gift. Now, so we know this. If you only knew this, we would know that. The next day, each of them gives the duga something. The next day, well, let's do that. Next day, 2 days at least of ceremony, right? Next day, Friday, after the Asr prayer. Now, I know that Muslims pray 5 times a day or more. I don't know what the Asr prayer is. It might be morning, afternoon, midday. And then the Duga carries out a similar ceremony to this is okay. Whoa. Every man according to his rate. Every Friday. This happens every Friday. Oh my goodness. All right, we got one more and then we're done. Well, see, we aren't done. That's why it's only the second best way. Now we had started this. Oh, look what I did. This is lesson 17. We're on page 244. We're traveling through where? Travels in Asia and Africa. All right. I was at Mali. How did we not write that down? Now, see the spelling already? Mali, we spell it M-A-L-I. It's one of the great civilizations from the history of the world. It's still in existence today. It used to be an empire. So I was at Mali during the 2 festivals. Geez, we didn't even write that down. That's why it's so hard to do your notes, do this kind of reading with a lot of people. The Sultan takes his seat on the pempe. See, we didn't get pempe either. Oh my gosh. We would have already been wondering what that is. The Sultan takes his seat at the pempe after the something. And then there's magnificent arms, quivers of gold and silver. Do you know what a quiver is? That's where you hold your arrows. So quivers of gold and silver. Something scabbards, right? We know it's going to be golden ornamented scabbards are what you put the sword in so that it doesn't cut anything when you don't want it to. Gold and silver lances. I'm just going to, it's all gold and silver. Gold and silver lances, crystal maces. That's crazy. A mace is a big hammer-like thing. It's usually got an iron ball with spikes on the end of it. So made of crystal is glass, right? There's something I don't know what that is. Flies. What does that mean? Flies. Having in their hands silver ornaments representing. Wow. We missed a whole bunch starting this in class. Just lots of distractions. There's a preacher. Oh my gosh, what does that mean? Sitting in their usual places. The interpreter, thanks, there's an interpreter. Interpreter. That's what you're doing. You're interpreting the facts, right? You're coming to conclusions. You're deducing. You're making educated guesses about what's going on here. And then we're back to, we did get the girls who are about 100 in number. They have gold and silver fillet. I don't know what, I know what a fillet of fish is. I don't know what this means. Fillets with fillets with gold and silver balls attached. With balls attached. All right, now we've done all 6 of the pieces. We kind of know what's going on. We aren't done. Travels in Asia and Africa. We know it's Ibn Battuta, so I'm going to put that up here. What is it? Ibn Battuta, 1325 to 1354. This is page 244, lesson 17. Okay, so we take the post-its and transfer the knowledge into our notebook. And there you have notes. You bring these to class and I say, oh, you've got notes. It's obvious that you've done the reading. You've got notes. Do you know what you read? I don't know. It takes me 3 times to do the reading. I'm not the smartest bear. I'm smarter than the average bear, but it takes me 3 times. I go through it once just to know what I'm doing. The second time I take my notes. The third time I confirm that I know that my notes are telling me what that told me. Reading for comprehension, especially with expository text, is a job. So we'll probably go over this in class, but these are your notes. Now you need to know the story. Okay, this is the second, why it's only the second best. Sticky notes get less sticky. Did you see I taped them down? Because they'll fall out of your notes if you don't. And because you don't own this book, go take the sticky off the page. This left sticky here, that'd be like human environment interaction. All of our actions have consequences. So, take care of the negative consequences. Then you'd put this together. And these are the words you got to study, folks. This is why people don't like to do this. This is hard work. You need to know what all those words are. And then you got to know what the story is that Ivan's trying to tell you, Mr. Butata. All right. I'm going to cut it off from there. I'll edit it and I'll load it up onto the site. Thank you very much. Happy day.